Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Brilliantly Resilient Live today because we have our one of our local celebrities. I'm so excited to have my friend Melinda Emerson, the Small Biz Lady, with us. And boy, is your content going to be relevant given the mess that we are all in with the COVID-19 stuff. So we want to get into a little bit about your personal story. So I want you to introduce yourself, and then we'll talk about because you have a new ebook out that we want to talk about, and it's all very relevant to where people and businesses are right now. So welcome, Melinda, and tell us a little bit about you.
Well, my name is Melinda Emerson, but my nickname is the Small Biz Lady. And for the last, 20 some years, I've been in business, but I have been helping, coaching, writing books, and sharing relevant information to help small business owners for the last 12 years strong.
Wow.
And right now, my small business owners need me more than ever because people are reeling. People are trying to figure out what to do. Is it time to shutter their doors? Is it time to pivot? Or is it time to just completely blow it up and reinvent their business? And luckily for them, I fix businesses every day. So I am
You're well versed already.
On the case. I can help you figure out A, B, or C as your option. My mission truly is to end small business failure, and everything we do over at my business, whether it's smallbizlady.com, my blog, or the Small Biz Chat podcast, or the many books I've written, I am all about helping people live their dream life as an entrepreneur. And I got on that path myself because I got my dream job very early on in my business, and very early on in my career. And, you got to be careful what you wish for because you just might get it. I got my dream job and I hated it. I mean, I hated the people I worked with. I hated the work. I was like, why did I want this? Right. So I luckily very early on in my life, at 26 years old, I checked out of corporate America. It was like, I'm out. And I started my first business. I had a laptop, a fax machine, and a dream, very friend. I came home, from the television station one day, and I was like, I am starting a business. And literally, that's what I did. My first company was a video production company. What else would a former television producer do, right? But start a video production company. So I worked in TV news for 5.5 years before I decided, that life was not for me. I started my first company, and after a few years, we were doing really well. My husband at the time was able to quit his full-time job at GE and join our business full-time. And I had offices in downtown Philadelphia for years, and a staff of about 8 or 9 people, and another whole list of freelancers that we used on a regular basis. I mean, at one point, we were number 29 on the Philly 100 list of fastest growing small businesses in the
Wow.
Wow.
Doing very, very well. And of course, I was still really, really young, like I was like under 30 doing all this stuff. And started winning a lot of awards, top 50 women in business in Pennsylvania, and top 30 under 30 in America, and top producers, top 100 producers in the country, all this stuff. I won like 8 or 9 Telly Awards, which is the highest award you can win for non-broadcast production. It's not an Emmy, it's a Telly,
It's a trophy.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I haven't got one of those trophies. So whatever it is, it's cool.
Statue that's now needs to be polished, whatever. Anyway, my whole point though is that I was trucking along in my business. We were doing pretty well. And then in 2005, I got pregnant with my son, and literally got put on bed rest for 6 months with a high-risk pregnancy at 32 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so nobody saw that.
Talk about a need for a reset. And I guess, now how old's your son? Because I guess back at that point, it wasn't as easy to do this stuff.
It wasn't. I was just about to say that. So no, my kid is 14 now. So you have to realize 2005, 2006, like Wi-Fi still wasn't everywhere. It wasn't like I got sent home with a laptop and I was still able to like still work. No, getting sent home and being put on bed rest for 6 months was like, you are no longer working.
Yeah.
Go home and work on getting a healthy baby here. And on top of that, they thought my child had a heart condition. So they had me up at Lincoln on 3 times a week getting testing done. I mean, it was very scary. And, I barely could raise my voice above a whisper. You know what I mean? Like, I was scared to death. I was going to do something to hurt this baby, it was crazy. So I literally, it was probably the most stressful time of my whole life. But what it immediately did, though, was show the weaknesses in my business, because what had happened was I had built a whole business around myself. I was the #1 rainmaker in my business, so you guys can imagine me being pulled out and put on bed rest and suddenly having to focus on my health every day. My business almost completely crumbled.
Wow.
And it crumbled because I didn't have, really well documented processes and systems. And I had built a culture in my business where you had to come ask mama, right? And mama wasn't there. And nobody was doing anything, you know what I mean? And so
nobody does anything until I say they can do it.
Right. And unfortunately, I had hired all these doers. Will you do this for me? Will you do that for me? But I had very few thinkers. I didn't have anybody in my business thinking about how my business made money other than me.
Yeah.
And so when I wasn't there, my business was almost completely destroyed. And I'm going through my savings to like pay my staff while I'm at home, and they weren't even checking my email. People were sending us RFPs and stuff. People weren't even, I can't even describe to you the level of dysfunction I actually realized that I had once I got pulled out of my business every day. But here's the good news story about all of that. When you get 6 months to spend at home and really can't work, you get a chance. It was the first time ever that I had sat down and thought about my business, like how my business actually ran, like what I would have done better if I had had better advice. And I realized that there was an opportunity potentially to help people benefit from all of my hard-learned lessons. And so I started taking all these notes when I was pregnant on like all the expensive lessons I had learned. Man, the list was like it was long. It was long, guys. It was long. And so what happened with that list and those notes is they became my best-selling book, Become Your Own Boss in 12 months.
How cool is that?
Yeah, because I realized that I wanted to write the book I had never read about what it really was like to start and grow a business.
Yes.
And so after I got my child to his first birthday, and I did not maim him in any way, and by the way, my child was born healthy and strong with no heart condition.
Oh, thank God.
Good.
But man, it was a scary.
Oh.
So anyway, after my son, we got to my son's first birthday in 2007, I turned my attention back to those notes, and I ended up on the phone with a book editor one day. I didn't have an agent. I didn't have a book proposal. I had 4 chapters and a table of contents. and I sent them to this book editor, and I never forget it because it was around like Thanksgiving 2007. And he called me back January 3rd, 2008, and he said, I like your little book. You got any more chapters? And
That's awesome.
And I had like 3 more chapters where they were like super rough. Like I hadn't even had anybody look at them. Like they were like that. And so I scrambled with all my friends that were journalists. I was like, I need you guys' help. And so like we edited the last 3 chapters and I sent them off. And then March of that year, they gave me a book deal. And my book was due to my publisher September 1st, 2008. And that's a really important date for you to remember in this story, because you guys also remember what happened about September 14th, 2008. Y'all remember that? Remember people's 401ks became 1OKs? Y'all remember? Yeah, because we're back in those times again. Look at that.
Right.
So when the market crashed in 2008, my publisher called me up within 2 weeks of that and said, listen, thank you so much for being a first-time author that actually turned your book in on time. You're already a unicorn. Thank you. But we don't think anyone's thinking about entrepreneurship right now, and we're going to shelf your book until March of 2010.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yes, that is what they did to me. They told me, all of these people losing their jobs, we don't think anybody's thinking about entrepreneurship right now. So we're going to shelf your book until we can bring it out in a more favorable book environment. That was the word they used.
Wow.
So you went from top of the world to irrelevant overnight in their minds.
In their minds.
My business was still fledgling from like what had happened when I was pregnant. So it wasn't like, I was basically going to completely wind down my other company and just start being this speaker.
You were going to be an author. You were going to be speaking. You were going to be an author.
One small business expert. What? Well, girlfriends, that is not what happened. So literally, I then had to scramble and start doing videos for people again because it was like, oh my God, we don't have any income. And I didn't have the money to give to these people to buy my book back because that was the other thing. It was like, they had given me this advance and it was like, okay, well, can I give them this money back and get my book back? But it was a recession. My ex-husband had lost his job. You know what I mean? So it wasn't even like, there was no $20,000 to give these people back. It was like, okay. So I had to wait the 18 months. But every kick is a boost, ladies.
I love that.
Okay,
Writing it down.
Every kick is a boost.
Writing it down.
And the reason why I say that is because those 18 months I had to wait turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me. And the reason why is because I am a member of this organization called the National Speakers Association. And I had gone to a meeting right after all this happened. And I was telling everybody my sad story, like, publisher threw me under the bus and I got to release my book, and one of my friends at the meeting said, listen, Melinda, if I were you, I would get a publicist, start publicizing that book like it was coming out anyway. And she said, as a matter of fact, I would start figuring out this social media thing that's starting to get hot. I think you might really could be able to take advantage of that. Now, remember now, this is fall of 2008. Twitter was 1 year old.
Oh my gosh.
So another friend in the meeting said, hey, I know a publicist that actually knows a lot about this social media stuff. I'm going to give you her number. And her name was Kathy Larkin. And she lives here in the Philadelphia area. And I called her up and I told her my sad story, because at this point, I'm a victim, right? I'm addicted to my story. I'm telling it. Right?
And the poster child for Kleenex.
Oh, yeah. Like, guess what happened to me? I spent all summer writing this book and these people wrote release my book. It was, I could give you an ugly cry story with so literally I called this woman up. I told her what happened. And she said, oh my God, you mean we got 18 months? She was like excited. She said, you do not know. This is great. And I'm looking at the phone like I'm talking to somebody crazy. Because I'm like, lady, what are you talking about? This book was supposed to come out top of 2009. Now they're not bringing it out till, end of first quarter 2010. And she said, no. She said, this is going to be good. She said, we're going to go build your author platform.
Oh.
Now, you got to realize, too, people weren't using those two words together.
That's what I was just going to say. Way back then, that wasn't a thing.
I didn't even know what she was talking about. So then she said, okay, look. She said, I think Twitter would be perfect for you. And I literally was like, what is Twitter?
I still say that.
It was so new. And it was all media back then.
I hadn't even seen, like I didn't know what I truly was like, I don't know what this is. And she said, well, don't worry. I'll teach you how to use Twitter on my account and then we'll get you your own account. And so I was like, okay, fine. So finally the day came for me to get my own Twitter account, right? I'm in front of the computer. I'm on my phone with her. She's in front of her computer. She's on the phone with me. I go to twitter.com and I put in Melinda Emerson. And then I get this notice back, this name is already taken.
There was like 4 people on Twitter and that was taken?
Listen, of the 1,200 people that were actually on Twitter, apparently one of them was named Melinda Emerson, right? The 1,200 people that actually
chances?
In 2008. So I was furious. And I was furious because I do not have a common name. Like, I think I've met like 6 other like Melindas my age or older than me, like in my whole life. Like when I was a kid, we went to the gas station looking at those keychain things. My name was
there were no
Kristin.
Kristin.
You were not on there.
No,
you didn't have
there.
You didn't get a little license plate, did you?
Neither.
No little license plate.
Michelle was on there. Melissa was on there. Melinda was not on there.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So anyway, so long story short, my publicist was like, look, let's just go over to Facebook and see how many other Melinda Emersons there are. There were 7 other Melinda Emersons.
Stop it.
Wow.
But I am the only Black one. And so what's really funny about that is I also at that time I already owned melindaemerson.com. So it was really funny because I know I am now these 7 women's worst nightmare. They go to put their name in Google. They're like, who in the hell is this lady, also known as the Small Biz Lady? But anyhow, so long story short, my publicist said, look, we got to come up with a nickname for you. And I said, a nickname? You mean like Mindy or Melly Mel or something? And she said, no, fool, you're not a rapper. I'm not going to give you a nickname like that. And I was like, you don't have to do it with me. Please, you know, so anyhow, long story, a little
I
short.
think she's related to Mary Fran, your publicist. Totally related to her.
Like, are you stupid? No, I'm not giving you a nickname like that. And I said, okay, well, what are we going to call me? Because I didn't want to be Melinda_Emerson. I didn't want to be Melinda Emerson 1. Like, I didn't want to be any of those people.
I'm with you.
I am Melinda Emerson.
That's it.
No space.
There's no underscore.
No underscore, no space. You understand what I'm saying? So anyhow, so she said, okay. She said, how about Small Biz Guru? And I was like, she said, well, we've got to come up with a name that tells people who you are and what you do. And I said, well, okay, but I think guru's a bit much to, call yourself. And so she said, all right, fine. She said, well, how about Small Biz Expert? That's a great keyword, she said. I said, listen, again, I'm not so sure I want to be like the preeminent small business expert. I said, because I don't want Michael Gerber to call me and ask me, oh, really? Oh, that's what you mean?
Yeah, that's a loaded word to use when people, you got to be careful how you use that expert.
You introduce yourself. I'm Small Biz Expert. Yeah, no, that doesn't.
Yeah, they'll dig it up on TMZ that you had that big old failure.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you're like. But so finally she said, well, how about Small Biz Lady? And I was like,
Ching! There you go.
I was like, I think I could be her. And then, so literally, that's the day I became Small Biz Lady. And what we now know, is fast forward 12 years, that was the best branding accident that ever happened to me.
I'll tell you what, first of all, I'm crying over here. I'm laughing so hard, number one. But number two, everything about your story, and I knew some of your story before, but I didn't know it in that detail. But everything about your story speaks to all the stuff that we talk about you can't be married to an outcome, because the stuff that you think is the best thing in the world might not be the best thing in the world. And if it takes a turn one way or the other, sometimes that's the greatest thing that could happen.
Exactly. But you don't feel it at the time. At the time,
oh God, no.
All I could feel was, these people won't release my book. There's 40 million people out of work, and these people won't release my book. Why don't they understand that this is a perfect market to release my book? But you know what ended up happening though? Had they not done that, I may have never touched social media. Can you imagine?
Yeah. And that's your sweet spot.
Oh yeah, now I'm a black belt. Now I'm like that. but back then, I would have never, started a tweet chat. I would have never started a blog.
No.
I would have never. And the thing that's so amazing is, because of social media, because of my blog, it created so many other opportunities for me. Mm-hmm. Literally, when I left TV news in 1999, I never thought I would be a journalist again. I thought I would just be a business owner. And I was okay with that. But because of social media and blogging, and because content became king in the world, my journalism skills ended up taking me all the way back. And I ended up, literally, my first journalist opportunity after I started my business, 2 years into my blog, Entrepreneur called me and said, hey, we've been following your blog for a while. We like what you do. Would you be interested in writing a column for us? And back then, Entrepreneur was getting 6 million hits a month on their site. So for me to write for them, and when they really liked one of my pieces, they put it on the homepage. You know what I mean? And it was like,
Wow.
yeah, you know. And then so then 2 years after I wrote for Entrepreneur, I got a call one day from the New York Times. Hey, Small Biz Lady, I like what you do. You'd be interested in writing for the You're the Boss blog of the New York Times.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
And they wanted me to write about social media and small business. Now
Unbelievable.
you guys have to understand something. Number one, I had to put the phone on mute because I was screaming. Like I had to like compose myself and come back to the phone. I could come to the New York Times.
Let me check my calendar.
I could come to the New York Times building and talk to you about it. And the first time I went there, he took me to lunch in the New York Times cafeteria. Dude, they have like a sushi chef there that makes the fresh sushi. I mean, it was ridiculous, right?
Off the hook. Oh my God.
But the thing is that I wanted to be a writer since I was in 8th grade.
Wow.
I was in college and I majored in journalism. And I went into broadcast. And when you go broadcast, you don't ever get to go back to print. There's print people that end up in broadcast, but you don't see broadcast people that end up in print.
No.
Because print people hate broadcast people. And so for me to have the opportunity as the Small Biz Lady to write for the New York Times, that was crazy, right? I mean, like, and then the other opportunities that all those things afforded. Like once I started writing for the New York Times, then I was being invited to China to speak, France to speak, around the world. And the other thing that was interesting about the New York Times, they refused to call me the Small Biz Lady. They would only refer to me as my name. They were like, almost like, yeah, that's your moniker on social media. That is not your name. Like they were very like, it was very
But that probably had benefits too, because you want that to be associated.
It did, but it was funny because there were people who only knew me as the Small Biz Lady and did not know my name was Melinda Emerson. So we kind of had a thing of like, we kind of had to get it back to like, no, I am
this
she.
is who I am.
I am she.
So we talk all the time about these transferable skills.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, Kristin, I saw as soon as Melinda said, I wanted to write, no, I saw you perk up, because we talk constantly about you can't put these skills in a box where they're only usable here.
Yeah.
Because they could be usable here and here and here. And look at what you were able to do with your background, and by just being open to, okay, let's see what's going to happen next, because clearly I don't know.
Well, and you do get to that point, and I think at the end of the day, you have to rely on yourself. Like you have to remember who you are. And I think sometimes as women especially, we get so caught up in other people's opinions sometimes, whether it's our mother's opinion, our husband's opinion, our girlfriend's opinion, and sometimes we be like, wait a minute, here's what my opinion is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, here's who I am. Look, I think that we should write a rap song, because maybe we are rappers, because that was my thing growing up. And I always say that someday I need to do a duet with LL Cool J, and then I'll be the happiest person ever. But here, my thing that I realized was part of me being so stuck and being unable to grow. I started a global nonprofit. I started all this stuff, and I couldn't get up into where I wanted to be, because I was trying to be a CEO, a this, a that. I'm a teacher. I knew my whole life I wanted to be a teacher. That got pulled out from under me when I found out my 2 boys were blind, or so I thought. When I came back full circle, it was just a few years ago, and I'm like, wait a minute, I am a teacher. Why don't I go about all this teaching people what I know? I did the same thing. I wrote the book I wish I had when they were diagnosed, and did it in a way that a 3rd grade teacher would communicate that. And that's how I run I'm in a scientific research field. I have no business being there as a scientist. No. I'm the coffee drinking teacher, right? But I went about it differently. But that's the thing, those transferable skills. When I went back to who Kristin was, super fun, soccer playing, dreams of being a rap star, teacher. And that's how it all finally started to come together and take off. So much of your journey, I'm like, yes.
Yes. Yeah. We're both sitting here going, yes. I told you she'd be great, didn't I? I told you.
I mean, listen, I feel like this. My blessing is that I don't look like what I've been through. That's the good thing. No.
I'm gonna get a T-shirt that says that.
Oh, listen. I mean, but the thing
Like
about
what I've been through. That's definitely, I'm writing stuff down. That's definitely, I'm quoting that again.
I think at the end of the day, though, you have to be grateful for the journey, right? You know,
Oh gosh, yeah.
because it is a circuitous path, right? It's not, there's no straight line to success. And the other thing too is I tell people all the time, success leaves clues everywhere, but so does failure. You learn more from people who failed than people who succeeded, because people who failed had to sit and analyze what happened, right? People who succeeded are just, you know, living their best life, living their best, you know, it's like, no, you need to talk to the person that failed 2 or 3 times before they succeeded.
Yeah.
Because
And that's everybody, by the way.
right.
Right? Like, just let's be honest about that.
Anybody's famous entrepreneur's biography, you'll hear about the 3 cars Henry Ford tried before he got to the Model T, right? You know, you understand that everything is about learning. I think so much in America and so much in business, but just in life, people focus on failure, they get stuck there, right? As opposed to thinking about, I think about failure as, you know, some lessons just get to be more expensive than others, right? you know, there's some cheap lessons you learn, you know, there's some $65 lessons, and then you get to learn some $165,000 lessons, right? You know, divorce is a real expensive lesson sometimes.
Yeah.
That's another show. But my point is that
I'll do that one with you.
but my point is that that's how you have to look at it. All of it is an incremental step to helping you be great.
Yes.
But you can't, you know, like I have finally gotten old enough to appreciate something my father used to say. And he used to tell me that youth was wasted on the young. And I was
Isn't
like,
that the truth?
and I was like, what is he talking about? What is he talking about? And look, in the last year, I said, I have become my father. I now understand what he was saying. Like if I could go back and be my 25-year-old self of what I know now, man, I'd be dangerous. But luckily, I don't use my powers for evil. But my point is, but you do have to look at everything, everyone. There's a reason, a season, a lifetime, right? People come in and out of your life, experiences coming out of your life. You might not be supposed to run that business for the rest of your life. Things have seasons.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
And I think as women, one of the things we have to own is that we have 4 reinventions in us. So it's like, which reinvention are you on? I'm in reinvention 2, because my first career was as a television producer. My second career is as a, you know, entrepreneur, I ran my business. And really, honestly, if I think about it, I'm kind of like in number 3, because Small Biz Lady was actually number 3. You know, I transitioned to and then I transitioned into the teacher of entrepreneurs, right? So it became, because after I had my son and my first book was about to come out, I really had to think about what kind of business I really wanted to run. And was I really interested in doing that video production business anymore, or did I want to do something else? And when I did my evaluation, what I figured out was that the most valuable thing in my business was what I learned from running it.
From running?
From running it, yeah.
Well, then I said, okay, well, then let's figure out how to bottom sell that. Right, literally.
Well, and you know what? You just hit on so many things that were so interesting. When you talked about failure, one of the things that we come back to a lot is that when we're kids, we fail constantly. Like, think about, I always go back to babies, you know, like they fall when they're trying to figure out how to walk, but they don't sit there and go, well, I'm never going to be able to get this. They just go, okay, well, I fell, so now I got to figure out how to do it a little differently this time. And they just do it. It's part of the process.
Yeah.
Like that whole idea of failure is part of the process. And once we change it from that negative connotation that it's a bad thing, then we go, all right, well, that means I'm this much closer because that didn't work. So maybe this will work and I'll try that.
Right.
And once we get that into our head, that it's not a negative thing, that failure is a teacher, then, okay, we're moving forward. It's time to move.
Oh yeah. But I think sometimes we get caught, we in failure, we don't forgive ourselves fast enough. we want to lament over it and keep thinking about it and beating ourselves up. And we have to be really careful of that negative self-talk, that negative self-loop that we can get on with. You are so stupid. How could you have done that? That we got to eliminate that kind of talk and really be good to ourselves.
Yeah.
Because particularly as women, we out here, most women have bare minimum 3 jobs, right? Your wife, mother, business owner. I mean, you got a lot going on. And then there's some that are side hustling and working a full-time job and managing kids and trying to have a relationship with somebody, whether it's a husband or boo or whatever. So I think, you have a lot going on. You have a lot of people pulling on you. And then you might have an aging parent that you're trying to help take care of or manage or, make decisions around. Or you might have a sibling that's constantly a screw up, that's constantly in your pocket trying to help fix them, keep them from losing their house, their job, their wife, their whatever. You know what I mean? Like you just gotta, if you are the alpha leader in your family, you got a lot of things pulling on you.
Mm-hmm.
And it is important that you take care of yourself. It is important. Like one of the things that I have always kind of tried to do for myself are things like massage, like 90-minute deep tissue massages are necessity. They are self-care.
Yeah.
You don't want to deal with me if I haven't had one in 3 weeks. You really don't, because I'm a little snippy. I'm a little pissy. I mean, and so, you just have to figure out what is that thing you do for yourself that really recharges you. And it can't be a Dove bar, man. Like, I think sometimes we medicate ourselves.
Could it sometimes be a Dove bar though?
Like every now and again.
Okay, because I gotta say, occasionally that's my go-to. I need chocolate.
I get it. I get it, but we also have to watch that too, because there's too many of us women, single women, self-medicating with food and wine, and we have to get away from that, because that's not healthy for us either. And that doesn't mean drinking an occasional glass of wine is a problem. It's not. But it's if it's I need wine, like that's not, that can't be our go-to for how we fix our problems. Escapism is escapism no matter what it is. And so I think that we just have to have a core group of friends that we're honest with about what's really going on, because I think we're also good at, I'm fine, I'm great. I'm
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's like, no, heifer, you were not okay. Stop pretending like you were okay. If you're not, tell the truth.
That's why you need Mary Fran in your tribe. I just call her and she's like, guess what? Here's what you're going to do. But even like show the one, when I always tell the story when I went to do my TED talk. I mean, I was like newly single. I had 3 kids. We were all going up to New York and they were going to see this, right? And 2 of them are blind. We're doing all the transit from Philly to New York.
Wow.
And I texted, I'm like, what was I thinking? I'm in my kitchen having a panic attack. And I'm like, what was I thinking? I'm going to get them safely up there, blah, blah, blah. And I was in my head about, you suck and you're never going to be able to do this. You're going to lose one of them. And Mary Fran's like, I texted her, she goes, shut up. You have a job to do. What is your problem? You are about to do a TED talk in New York City. Put your big girl pants on and here's how this is going to go. And I'm like, okay. And I went and did it. But I'll tell you what, at the same time, she's also the one that last week I had a massive screw up. And I called her and I'm like, you'll never guess what I just did. And she was like, wow, yeah, that sucks. But move on. Who cares? No one probably even saw it. No one's watching your video. Who cares? Move on. Don't ever do it again. And I'm like, all right then. I would have said
we make the decision that we're not going to live in that place. We can visit it. But we ain't going to live there.
No.
You'll yank you right out of it.
So wait, okay, now because we could talk all day long, but we haven't even touched on your ebook, which is the thing I want people to hear about, the new ebook, because this conversation could go on for hours, but tell us about that.
So one of the things that I wanted to do as a give back to my fans and people who are struggling right now is I created an ebook called How to Recession Proof Your Small Business. And if you go to my website, succeedasyourownboss.com/recession, I'll say it again slow, succeedasyourownboss.com/recession, you can get a free download. And I did that because I wanted people to be equipped with tools to really take a hard look at their business. Now is the time when business is slow or non-existent for some of us. Look, I'm a professional speaker. Ain't nobody having conferences right now. So my business is like shaky too, like everyone else.
Yeah.
But I still wanted to put together a guide that would help people kind of just take a deep breath and say, okay, and use it as a checklist to kind of say, all right, these are the things I need to look at and tighten up so that when we come out of this thing, you're ready to rock with a sharper, tighter business.
Love it. Oh my gosh, you have been such a delight. I can't even, I mean, I just want to sit here all day and just chat. That's what I want. But we can't. So tell everybody where else we can find you, and give us as many, and we'll put all this stuff is going to be on our Facebook community group too. And we'll be putting this everywhere, but tell us where we can find you, because we need more of you, Melinda Emerson / Small Biz Lady.
Small Biz Lady everywhere. So if you can't remember Melinda Emerson, just Google Small Biz Lady and you'll find me. Certainly connect on my Facebook fan page, which is Small Biz Lady. And once a month, I do a live video chat called Small Biz Chat Live. We stream it from Facebook to Twitter and to YouTube, so you can check that out. Also, my book, Become Your Own Boss in 12 Months, if you're just getting started, or if you have a business and know you might have a little bit of a spaghetti Western mess going on, grab my book, Fix Your Business. It's a 90-day plan to get your life back and reduce the chaos in your business. And these are available on Amazon and anywhere books are sold.
Oh my gosh, you have just been such a light for us today. What a joy. I had so much fun, and gosh, your story just, it resonates with everything that Kristin and I have experienced. She with her son, her blind kids, me with my son with the heroin and all that. Every lesson that you teach is applicable not only in business, but in life experiences and challenges and all that. So thank you for coming to see us today.
Awesome.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me, and I would love to come back.
Oh, we are definitely having you back. We are having you back.
Talk about.
Yeah, we do. We do. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for joining us on this latest episode of Brilliantly Resilient Live. Thank you to our amazing guest, Melinda Emerson, the Small Biz Lady. And me and my buddy, Kristin Smedley, we will be back tomorrow. So we'll see you then. Thanks.
Yeah.